Good morning. Good morning. Hello, everyone. We are back. Bryant and Josue Alvarez-Mapp, my buddy, my good buddy. We are both here. We're excited. We're talking a little bit of sports today, a little 49er football, a little Packer. You both, if you haven't noticed, we're both in our jerseys. I got my
Let's
throwback on.
go.
He's
I
got
got
his
my
throwback
my
on.
yeah. Let's
And
go.
we're just happy you're here. And again, if you got
Yep.
a cup of coffee, grab you a cup of coffee. If not, some water. I know people are watching all over, so we really do appreciate your time. So, got a couple people in the chat. We got Korey and a couple other good people saying good morning. So good morning, Korey, and everyone else. So over the last 3 days, it's been really exciting. We've had the NFL draft to contend with, and we've also had
Yeah.
some bit of fun watching the NBA in between. So it's
Yeah.
if you get bored, you've been able to go back to something else, and hey, when that's not there, you can go back. So we've been streaming a lot for the last couple of days with the draft, and I'm a huge Niner fan, and this is a huge Packer fan. So we're going to talk a little bit
It's
about
true.
that today. So, Josue, the last time I had you on, we had a little bit of a technical difficulties. I don't know if it was the ghost of my house or
That's right.
I don't know, but I'm glad you're back. And if you'd like,
Yeah.
let's hear what you got to say. Tell the world a little bit about you if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, I don't mind. I don't mind. Yeah, so yeah, a long time Packers fan since '96. We talked about that on the last time I was here. So long time Packers fan. It's like literally the only like not California team that I root for because obviously I'm rooting for the Kings for today, Game 7. Let's go. Big Giants fan as well for San Francisco, not New York. And then, but yeah, no, I've just been like a long time fan. It's one of the like football for me is one of those things where like I can't say that like I grew up really like liking it a lot. It was just more that I was spending time with my dad watching it, and so I would just watch football. But then as I grew up, and then you get into fantasy football, your friends like, oh hey, you want to just join this league, and then you join a league. Actually, I think it was a year league one time too, and you join a fantasy league, and then you're like, all right, now I gotta like learn the sport, and so that's really when it picked up for me.
Yeah, we did a fantasy league a couple years ago, almost 10 years ago, and I think we've done it two or three times, and I've had fun every time. Uh, it's fun competing, especially when you know someone in the group, and you're not just
Yep.
competing against a bunch of random people. And
Right.
yeah, I think that was a lot of fun. We might have to do that again. I did fantasy this year, and I hadn't done it for probably 8 years or so. And the first player I took out because I like to be funny. The first player I took, I drafted Justin Tucker, and I know the rest of the league was like, "What did he do? What did he do?" Right? But I had the best kicker in the
Yeah.
league last year, and I was very happy. My next guy off the board it was Josh Allen, so I was very happy. I think I had a solid team, but yeah, I'm not afraid to go for the kicker. And you know who's not also afraid to go for the kicker? San Francisco 49ers. This year they
And the
drafted a kicker,
Packers.
right? And
And
the
the
Packers.
Packers.
Packers,
Let's go.
Patriots, they
Kickers are
drafted a couple.
players too.
They are. They're players, they have feelings, and they score points. They determine outcomes of games. They
They
can walk on
can.
and they could be the hero or they could be the villain, right? So
It's true. It's true. Oh man, good times.
so
Like we laugh now, and I'll say this, throughout the show, but like we laugh now, but like if there's games this upcoming season where the Niners or the Packers need somebody to kick that ball well between the posts, and if our guys do it, like we're laughing now, like best believe in this upcoming season, we're all gonna be like, let's go! Like we're gonna be like, I'm glad we got that draft. I'm glad we picked them up because other dude, he wouldn't have done it. This is our guy. This is our guy.
okay, so I think I'm a big Robbie Gold fan. He's been on the team for like 6 years. He's
Yeah.
got the most points scored for the Niners. And, if they could have won a Super Bowl, I would have been very happy for the guy. He's getting up there in age. He could,
Right.
rode off into the sunset and been like, hey, and the whole thing is how valuable he is against your guys' team in the playoffs.
Yep.
Again, so I was kind of speculating with some of my guys last night, and we were talking, and I said, hey, do you see Dallas Cowboys signing Robbie Gould?
I mean, oh man. I mean, they've struggled in the kicker category since Dan Bailey left many, many, many years ago. Like, they didn't want to pay him. That was their fault. I blame Jerry Jones on that one. But like ever since Dan Bailey left, they haven't had like consistent kicking. So they might. Like I could see it.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I'm not advocating. Please, Robbie, don't listen to me here. But
Yeah.
he's going to be kicking in a dome like almost 12 games out of the year. So there's a possibility he's not going to be getting like the weather's not going to affect him. He's going to go in. I don't know. Is he going to be really close to Chicago? I mean, that's just really a straight shot up, from Texas. So I could see it happening. I really could see it happening. And no, I wouldn't like that. And I mean, the Cowboys have just needed a kicker for a couple seasons. They've had the quarterback, even when Dax, he still is Dak. So
yeah. But like again, like I was just talking about like how many games come down to kicks. Like again, hypothetically for our teams, like if it's just down to a field goal, or like even if it's not even in the end down to a field goal, like how many games this past season can we look at that if we didn't miss that field goal and at the end of the first half, like what kind of game would we be looking at here in the second half? The Cowboys, unfortunately, like I watched a lot of them this past season because my dad's a Cowboys fan. One of my coworkers, he's a Cowboys fan, so I follow the Cowboys just to talk shit. But anyways, so I was watching, and so I'm like it was really a feast or famine. The games last season that they won, they just out-handedly won. Like, look, we're not even making this a close game. And the games that they lost, they were close. And if they had a good kicker, we would be looking at a different game probably. But
there were
wasn't their
games
year.
last year. There was games last year. They were very dominant, and at the beginning, that's how they normally start out. Sometimes I have to say though, there's games where they'll score 40 points on a team, the other team 10 points. And then they'll go up against like the Eagles and it'll be like 38-34. And then you're like, okay, so do you just have to have a good offense that can compete with them? Is their defense not that good? Well, look at it when they go and, they put it up a 40 against a team. It wasn't that long ago that the Cowboys came to the Niner Stadium. And I think that was probably one of Dak's first seasons. And they put up like 40 points on us. It wasn't nice. And no, you don't. I don't like the Cowboys. I don't like the Cowboys. They're one of the teams out of the league that I I like hearing that they lost. I like seeing that they lost. And if my guy Robbie Gould goes there, that would be oh man, that's gonna be hard for me to swallow that one. But,
like it's the worst. Like you hate to see your player on any other team, like in any other jersey. It's already weird as it is. But there's like select few teams. Like for me, I don't want to see any former Packer on the Bears because it's the Bears. Like no, like I came to qualms with Brett Favre going to the Vikings. I'm like, all right, it's fine. It's not the Bears. That's all I asked for. That's all I asked for. So
that's a good question. So, like, out of your division opponents, you got the Bears, the Lions, and the Vikings. And I think you kind of answered it, but could you give us an analysis on your division opponents and what they mean to you, or what they, in a sense, kind of got under your skin about, and why do you dislike them, or why do you like them?
Yeah, I mean, because the Bears is like that oldest rivalry. You hear it every time the Packers and the Bears play, and it goes on TV. They're like, "This is the oldest rivalry in the NFL," because I mean, these are two of the oldest teams in the NFL. Like these are teams that existed long before the NFL and the AFL, and so like, I mean, I hate them because like that's like you just have to. You can't like be like, "Oh yeah, yeah." As a Packers fan, I respect the Bears. No, you don't go into Lambeau or Wisconsin saying, like, oh, yeah, I respect the Bears. No, you just have to absolutely hate them. And so I absolutely hate them. And I had a friend, I believe it was in like back at 17 Delta College, who was a Bears fan. I'm like, how am I friends with you? How are we cooperating right now? So and that's the Bears. With the Vikings and the Lions, it's been kind of a different story where, like, I don't hate them. I just dislike them. Like, I think that would be similar to, like, I'm sure your feelings are similar where you guys hate the Seahawks, but you dislike the Cardinals and the Rams. Like, you guys can go away too. But like, so like, yeah, with me when it comes to the Vikings and Lions, like, I don't hate them. I just don't like them very much. It's been nice over the last like 2 decades. Well, nice for me that the Lions have just been traditionally terrible. Like, even when they've been good during the Stafford and Megatron days, they still were just like just good. Like, they weren't great, they were just good. And then the Vikings were only good really when they had Brett Favre there. And then there was the early 2000s, but even then, like when you had the Randy Moss era, like it was still like good, not great. The Packers still had everybody's number. So I was like, yes, let's go. 30 years of dominance. I'm happy. So
Yeah, for me, like to break down your division really quickly, I have family that's from Notre Dame area. They live in Elkhart, Indiana. I have Packer family members primarily. My dad, he has five brothers. Well, four brothers. They're all Packer fans. He's the only Raider out of the bunch. He's the only Laker fan out of the bunch too.
oh
So
wow.
he likes the A's, Oakland A's. But so it's like, okay, I could see that. All my other family members, they like Milwaukee, which is great. But their family members, they're so like my aunts and my uncle's family that they've married into, they're all Bear fans, and they're not saying that these people are trash, but they say Bear fans are horrible fans. So I've heard that about the Eagles fans, and I've heard that about Bear fans, and I can tell you, I know that about the Raider fans. And there's good people in it, and there's bad people. And I've
Right.
recently, I've noticed Seahawk fans start to turn that way, and
Yeah.
you can kind of pinpoint who's a real fan and who's just started watching the team by talking to them for a little bit, and you can see
Yeah.
who might have been a fan for a long time but just doesn't really follow them. So like I have family members that are like, oh, I'm a fan, right? Well, yeah, you got the jersey, you got the hat, but it sits on
Yeah.
the shelf until like the playoffs, or
Right.
or you wear it 24/7, right? But you can't, like, I wear Giants hats, right? The baseball team hat, but
Yeah.
I can't tell you about the team on a 24 days. I'm just not that fan, but I still
Yeah.
support the team. I see other
Right.
fans out there like that, but yeah, the Bears have had a really, really hard. They got a hard fan base, and if you're part of the fan base, then it's a very proud fan base. I
Yeah.
did get to meet a Bear fan. I worked with him for several years, and he rubbed off on me a little bit. I can tell you, I really like it when the Niners beat them, but there's been some
Yep.
weird games. Like they came to they came to Levi's and beat us at Levi's. I think it was the first game. They Kaepernick destroyed them, and I want to say he destroyed them and Candlestick. But then when we opened up at Levi's, they came in and they stole the first W. The Packers, the Packers are the Packers. I've always had that rivalry with them and that, feeling
Yep.
because since like 98, 97.
Yep. Yep.
That's how I found out about Brett Favre. He was one of the first Super Bowls I actually sat down and really understood. And then the Vikings, I'm not a big fan of the Vikings, the Dante Culpepper era. We came through the Morton Aaron, Gary Anderson and Morton Anderson, the missing field goal. I know that was against the Falcons, but I really think that should have been the Niners, game. Uh, the Vikings have always seemed to be like a bigger team for the Niners when we go to Minnesota to play. I'll never forget about not the Lambeau game. It's Lambeau because you're thinking of Favre, but the miracle in
Right.
the Minnesota Miracle or something like that. what is it, the
Yep.
Miracle in the Midlands or something like that, where he
I
throws
think
the
so. Yeah.
end zone touchdown. The Niners were on the up and up. They were coming up that season. Harbaugh, right? I think we only
Yeah.
lost 3 games that year, and for them to get Aaron Rodgers, like he wanted to leave. They knew he wanted to go to the division. He retired. He went to the
Yep.
Jets.
Yeah.
He played okay with the Jets. I think the first year he got him to the playoffs. I think he had a shoulder injury,
I
and
think
that
so.
was it. That was
Yep.
it. And then he goes to retirement. And shout out to the Vikings. They didn't have
Yep.
a ship to sail to them. They should stay off boats too, right? But but they flew in their helicopter. This is what a franchise does when they want to go all in. They get all
Yep.
in, and they flew to
Yep.
his ranch, and they got their guy. And if it wasn't
Yep.
for I don't know, Bounty Gate a little bit. And yeah, he should have did the Cardinal sin and throw across the field, but I mean he almost made the play. So
Right.
I know a lot of people don't like Favre, but he's been one of my top 5 quarterbacks I've watched through my life. So yeah, I like the Packers a little bit. I would say a lot, but I'm a Niner fan.
Yeah. Yeah.
To answer your question about my division and give you a chance to tell me a little bit more about your feelings on because you're from California. The
Yeah.
Rams have always been they've always been just right? And then if you look at the
Right.
way the conference was, we had the Saints, the Falcons, we had the Panthers. So I kind of feel like you guys took our rivalries away, like the Niners, we had the Joe Montana game with the Saints where he
Yep.
came back. The Falcons, Deion Sanders, it's Chris Chandler, they started beating us right there at the end. And now you're going to give us the Cardinals who play against the Cowboys all the time and the Seahawks who is an AFC team. So I wasn't really big on those guys at first, like those are the rivalry. It's always been to me like the
Right.
Rams. And then when the Rams left, well, they went to the Super Bowl, and Kurt Warner, he just was killing us. And then he
Right.
went to the Cardinals and made the Cardinals better. The Cardinals
Yep.
got a Leinart there for a little while. I thought he was a good quarterback. So the Cardinals started getting to be like a pain in the Niners' rear. And then when
Right.
they went on, I think, a 9-game winning streak against us at one point. It was bad. So everybody's like,
Yeah.
we got to win the division. We got to win. Yeah, we got to make the playoffs. You got to win the division. You got to beat the Cardinals. You got to beat the Seahawks. You got to beat the Rams. And if you're focusing on all these other teams, you're not worried about what's in front of you. You're worried what's
Right.
out there. So I have grown to dislike the Cardinals very much. I've grown to dislike the Seahawks. And what's been interesting to me, a lot of people might not like this, and it doesn't affect everybody. Some people have been Seahawk fans their entire life. Some people, like I said, they were friends of the region, fans of the region, or they just didn't know too much about their team. When you only have one team up there, and a lot of people like college or, regardless, they go where the wins are. So like the Oregon Ducks,
Right.
there's a lot of Duck fans. So for Seahawk fans, when the Raiders started losing and started talking about moving, that's when I started seeing a lot of people jump into the Raiders fans,
Yep.
jumping off of the Raiders ship and going up to Seattle. And I know we both have friends. We both have friends who have parents that are Raider
Yep.
fans, and their
Yep.
daughter is now in a Seahawk jersey. I don't know if it's your husband or your boyfriend, but hey, my dad would not like that at all.
Right.
If you're a Raider, you're a Raider. I don't like. It's up to you. You can change teams whoever you want, and yeah, you should support your man if your man's a Seahawk fan. But that's just one example. Not blasting anybody, but when you see fans going to a different organization because they're winning all of a sudden, like how many Warrior fans were there, Josh? Everybody liked the Kings a couple years ago. I mean,
Right. Right.
everybody, Bibby, right? I mean, so. What are your thoughts on the NFC West? Do you like the new alignment? Do you? What are your thoughts? You like the
Yeah. I
Rams?
mean, I mean, so with the Rams, I didn't care at all for the Rams. Like, it's not like I don't like them. It's just I'm indifferent. I was indifferent until they had Stafford, and I'm like, oh, now it's personal. Now it's personal because Stafford goes to the Rams, and then now the Rams all of a sudden look amazing. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, because again, and honestly, that's all Stafford needed, to be honest. Like, the reason why the Vikings historically sucked, or not the Vikings, the Lions, is because all he had was Megatron. And when Megatron decided to hang it up and call it a career, he had nobody to throw it to. And so, the Lions didn't want to invest in him. Like, they don't want to give him pieces around him. So, like, once when Stafford went to the Rams, I'm like, oh my God, please. But ignoring that, um, with the Cardinals, it's only personal because you mentioned it. Kurt Warner being with the Cardinals. That was the Packers' first playoff run with Aaron Rodgers. You have Mike McCarthy still there with the Packers. And McCarthy, being a defensive minded coach, made defensive minded plays where you have a young Aaron Rodgers and we're not going to throw the ball. We're going to make concerted play calling. And then we lose to the Cardinals. And it was not the most upsetting loss, but it's tough because during that season, that's when we first saw some of the brilliance of Aaron Rodgers. And you're like, oh, wow, he's going to be something. And then the Cardinals and Kurt Warner say, not this season. Not this season. So I'm a little salty about that one, but I've gotten over it because the Cardinals aren't the same team that they used to be. Even now, they've had their resurgence. They're still not the team that they used to be. But I will now tell you, and this should be a surprise to nobody, it's personal with the Seahawks. Like, the Seahawks, in terms of my hatred, is almost similar to the Bears. Almost similar to the Bears. Like, I will not let it go. That play between the Packers and the Seahawks when you had the touchception, is it a touchdown? Is it an interception? Still mad about it. I'm still mad about it. And I strongly dislike Pete Carroll. I strongly dislike Pete Carroll. Like, it's not even it's not like a Bill Belichick. Like, I respect Bill Belichick. Like, I dislike the Patriots for winning all the time, but I respect Bill Belichick because it's the system. He has the system. I just hate Pete Carroll. Like, there's no love there whatsoever.
Hey, fun fact. What does Pete Carroll and UOP have in common?
What's that?
Pete Carroll was one of the coaches for the Tigers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was a
Wow.
coach. Yeah, yeah. So shout out to UOP. Shout out to Pete Carroll. I Googled that and found it out. I've actually become pretty good friends with the Seahawk buddy. He's been coming on, and his name's Joe Stevens. You might have seen him on my show a couple times. He's really knowledgeable. He's probably the nicest Seahawk fan. I actually like Seahawk fans after meeting him. But the Seahawks have that thing, and I don't know if you've seen it or not, but the NFC Championship game has a video, and it's called Rigged, and it keeps getting taken down and put back up on YouTube, and I don't know why. Well, I know why, but there's all these good points in the game. It's like there was a
Right.
40-second, there's a 40-second play clock, and the Seahawks had the ball for 60 seconds and no flag. We got a delay of game with 34 seconds run off the play clock, and Kaepernick he had the ball in his hands at 34 seconds, and there was a delay of game. There was so many calls in that game, and it's like a 40-minute video. It's a great video to watch. I mean, at the end of the game, you got to make the play. Richard Sherman swatted that ball, got tipped, and Michael Crabtree, whatever you got, Michael Creature.
Right.
Shout out Crabtree. But he just didn't make the play, and for whatever reason, they didn't try Vernon Davis on the left side of the field. Maybe it was that big hit in the beginning, in the middle of the game, because they were hidden, and there were some times where there was helmet to helmet contact that didn't get called. There's been times where it was the shoulder pad. I give you that, and you can't throw the flag on every play. But
Right.
the Seahawks have become a very good team. And I got a question for you. Do you know what kind of gum Pete Carroll chooses?
No.
Winter green.
No. Oh,
All right.
man.
All right. So let's get into this a little bit. How do you feel about your Packers playoff prospects, your guys' draft picks?
Yeah, I mean, I am. So here's the thing: the Packers historically don't do free agency. They rely strongly on draft picks and undrafted free agents. Like that's how they've built their teams for the last 3 decades. Like that's how we got Brett Favre. That's how we got Aaron Rodgers. Like everything is always we're going to draft them young and then build the team around these young people. And once when their 5 years are up, unless there's some sort of superstar, we're going to let them go and we're going to do it again. And so it's hard for me to say like because like when we look at like this year's draft, the Packers had 13 picks, a staggering 13 draft picks. It was like wild. And I mean, we'll talk about this as well. Like, not only did the Packers get to feast this year, but because of Aaron Rodgers' trade, like, assuming that this man is healthy enough, which he hasn't had he's only had one season where he got injured, and even then, it wasn't like he was out for the season. He was just out for like several games. So if Aaron
Mm-hmm.
Rodgers plays the 60 whatever percent in the Jets, we get another first round pick. And so I'm like, oh my God. Like, so like right now the Packers are sitting well for rebuilding because like, let's be honest, at this point, it is rebuilding. I'm not going to sit here and lie to the people. I'm not going to sit here and lie to like Packers fans and say, oh yeah, things are great. In Jordan Love, we trust. I mean, I don't. Like, the thing that with Jordan Love is we've only seen him play 3 or 4 games in his career so far in the NFL. And those games were rough, but amazing. Like, he has high stats, but part of that is like, how much of that is because of the systems that at the time that the Packers had in terms of their offensive mechanisms. So it's really hard to say like how that goes. Now, out of the 13 picks, um, I expected because historically the Packers they draft defensively. Like it's hard to find good defensive players, so they spend most of their picks every year on defensive players, and they pick up undrafted wide receivers and other offensive pieces. Um, but when you look at the 13 picks, 7 of the 13 picks just this past weekend was offensive players, which is very telling. And so, of course, the number one goes to Lucas Van Ness. You know, he's an edge rusher, cool. Like, like anybody could know, especially Niners fans. Niners fans know that Packers defense has always been suspect. It's always been wanting. The Packers defense doesn't keep the Packers in most games. So, like, it's cool. We get that. I'm happy for that. It's a good pick. But then when we look at everything else, like here's what I wanted from the draft, but then here's what the Packers actually got from the draft. And what I wanted, and I didn't think I was going to get it, but we got that on day 2. What I wanted from the draft was okay. We have we have Jordan Love, who this is now it's his team now. He has to come out and put up. I don't know if he can put up those like big bombs of like the 30, 40, 50 yards, which in the few games that he has played, he puts up some pretty big numbers. There are some like long touchdowns, and you're like, wow, he has an arm. He can sling it. Great. But once when he's playing on a regular basis, when will teams learn to adjust for him? And can he keep on doing that? Like, is he going to be like the next Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, who can still sling a ball, like, again, 40, 50, 60 yards, and still punish you? Or is he going to be a little bit more where he's great in shorter distances and questionable at those longer distances? And so I think when you have this guy now, who it is his team, we'll see if he has the nerves this season or not. What I wanted from this draft was tight ends. Give my man some short range options of people who can catch the ball, because the Packers don't do that. The Packers don't typically have good tight ends. We have good wide receivers. And so you have good running backs who can run out from the backfield and catch the ball. We have good wide receivers who, like we had Randall Cobb, who liked to run the slot. And then you have some of the more deeper end wide receivers. But Randall Cobb, I believe, is gone. And so who you're going to have running the slot, we'll find out. And again, I don't know if Jordan Love will be able to consistently throw those long balls. So I wanted tight ends, and we got 2. And I'm like, all right, let's go. Like, again, I don't want to get too excited because like for me, the draft is always this funny thing where like it's the one time that everybody in the NFL, we dream, we're like, oh man, this is gonna be our year, this is gonna be great. Like we're all like on that hope. We're like, it's our time to shine. We picked up these guys. These guys were great in college or good in college, and we have these great coaches that are gonna like help like solidify them, and then it's gonna be amazing. But we all know that historically, rookies don't do that great. Like statistically, like just by the numbers, only a few of them break out their rookie year. And this is not just quarterbacks, it's like all positions, only a few of them become that rookie sensation on their first year. And it's not a slight to them, and it's not a slight to their team. It's just there's IQ. It's like we see this in every sport where the reason why LeBron James, as one of the oldest players, still can stun on people is because he's a smart player. The reason why Aaron Rodgers is still a scary player, even with the Jets, is because his IQ is through the roof. He may not be as athletic as he used to be. He's not going to be rolling out of the pocket all the time, but he's smart. And that's why he's always going to wait till the last couple of seconds to snap the ball and make you look like a fool. And so these young guys, they're just going to be pumped up on it. It's like, oh, yeah, I'm playing against Rodgers. I can't wait to get him. And then, oh, there's penalty, free first down. So I'm excited. I'm excited for, again, we have the 2 tight ends. We have, what, 2 wide receivers, and a running back. The running back committee that we've had so far has been decent. And so I'm excited to see if and or how these players will like fit into the overall like picture of the Packers. Like how many of them will stick around with the final team, how many of them will just be on the practice squad. We'll find out. I didn't want to talk about it, but we also picked up a quarterback who I'm like, did we? And it's like,
Yeah,
I don't want to say that.
You picked up a quarterback. His name right here. His name is Sean Clifford from Penn State.
Yeah.
I was asking that too amongst friends the other day, and you guys go for a quarterback. So Jordan Love, I agree with what you're saying. He's got a lot of potential. He's been groomed. He's ready to come off the board and off the bench and play. And it's interesting that they're getting a quarterback because I think they're going to do it again. I definitely think the Packers are going to do it again. I like the Packers a whole lot, but the way they're doing it with quarterbacks, it's interesting because they get a quarterback and then they put him on the bench for a little while. Okay. Alvarez lost power, so he'll be back. I'm going to tell him to come on back when he can. When you can. But while I'm waiting for him to come back through, let's go through this really. And here shortly, we might bring on a group of friends. But for round 1, the Packers selected linebacker Van Ness from Iowa, which is a solid pick. Then the next round, we'll go back through this when he's talking to when he comes back. Round 2, pick 42, tight end Luke Musgrave, Oregon. The pick they picked it again at 50, wide receiver Jaden Reed from Michigan State. Then right here we have they got a couple picks here. They got 13 picks overall. So at round 3, pick 78, tight end Tucker Kraft from South Dakota. Then they got round 4, pick 116, defensive lineman Colby Wooden from Auburn. A lot of players coming from Auburn this year. Okay. It's round 5, pick 149, quarterback Sean Clifford, Penn State. And then at 159, they brought in wide receiver Dontavian Wicks from Virginia. Shout out Virginia. I'm from Virginia, so anytime I see somebody getting drafted from Virginia, shout out Virginia. From the VA. Round 6, pick 179, defensive lineman Carl Brooks from Bowling Green. If you know about Bowling Green, Kentucky, that's where it's at. There's also a big Corvette museum there. Pick 207, my guy, kicker Anderson Carlson from Auburn. Shout out Auburn again. You might hear that a couple times. Now we're going to go down to round 7, pick 232, Carrington Valentine from Kentucky. And this is a fun name, Carrington Valentine. Somebody got cute with that name. Clever, I would say. No, cute is I think cute's a good word for it. Now we're going to go down to the next pick. Their pick is 235, running back Lou Nichols from Central Michigan. I like how they get players from around their region. Michigan, Green Bay, Wisconsin. Give those hometown boys something to play for and hopefully playing for their home team. Round 7, pick 242, safety Anthony Johnson Jr. from Iowa. And then we have pick 256, wide receiver Grant Dubose from Charlotte. We're going to check out the chat. Again, Josue Alvarez-Mapp, my buddy, he's having a little tech issue. So we're going to go from there. So we got Ryan. He's saying Debo, that like button. If you know about the Debo button, you just got to go and push the little thumbs button. It's fun. We got CG here. He's saying, hey to David. Bryant, at this point, Mr. McNiner's comment. At this point, there's one thing I need to know. Can you see the dog in the backyard? See, that's a good question. And if you guys don't know, or if you haven't heard, I have a yard. I have a nice yard. And sometimes it needs to get mowed. And it needs to get mowed more frequently than I mow it myself. But the way I like to judge it is I like to send my bulldog out in the backyard. He's not the biggest guy, but when I can't see him anymore, that means the grass is taller than him and I got to cut it. But right now I can still see his head. So as long as I can see his head, it's just like he's out there in the water. It's just a water of grass. And it's fun because you get to see his little tunnels where he goes and stuff. But no, the backyard's looking good. I'm going to probably get out there and do a little bit of that today and get going from there. But having a lot of fun. So what we'll do is I'm going to invite on a couple of friends. I'm going to drop the link if he wants to come on. We're waiting for Josue Alvarez-Mapp to come back. Oh, I think I just got my buddy. So we're going to hold off on for a second. Him would like to finish the show. And if you guys would like to wait after that, we can bring on people in the panel to ask questions. But for right now, I got my guy.
Yo, this time it's me with the power outage.
Uh-oh. But this time we were able to maintain. So if you guys haven't seen the first, please go back and watch the first video. I really like having my buddy on. I feel like we got a lot of good chemistry and there's a lot of good information. We both can go back and forth and talk. But sometimes power issues happen. And there is a story about my house. We believe there's a ghost in my house. Someone has passed away in my house prior to me living here. So I don't know if he's still here or not, or if it's someone else that's here. But sometimes we see things that's a little weird. And I just tell my daughters, hey, if you see it, just don't talk to it. It'll leave you alone, okay? Or if you see it, just don't look back at it too long, okay? It won't notice you, right? So
Right.
For real, we might have a ghost at my house, but it looks like it might be visiting you today.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's still kind of spotty.
So,
Like the power's back on, the internet's out. So like I'm doing this off of my cellular data. Committed to the show.
we appreciate it. I was just about to bring some people on, but I want to finish up with what we were talking about because I felt like we were getting through a lot of good stuff. I think right before we left, we were talking about you drafting a quarterback, and we talked about drafting a kicker. So I'll bring up the banner again, and we'll go to the next round. I kind of quickly just read everybody's name. So where's the kicker? The kicker is. You guys took a kicker early too. No, it was your.
Yeah,
kicker.
The Niners I drafted early. For us, it was Anthony Johnson Jr.
Anthony Johnson Jr. For your kicker? I think you might have paused on me again. Okay, you might have paused on me. So yeah, we're having fun today. Definitely having a lot of fun. And we will be doing this again. Yeah. John brings up a good point right here. In January, I lost power for 4 days and it was raining. it happens. It definitely happens. So, but what we're going to go ahead and do is we are going to put the link down, and Josue can come back in, and that'll be okay. So we're going to paste the link if anybody wants to come in. He's having technical difficulties. We're gonna roll through this. So the link is going to be in the chat. If anybody would like to come in, while we're waiting for my buddy to come back in. When he does come back in, we'll go around a circle and ask him questions. So really quickly, we're going to give him a second to come in. And if you guys haven't seen, this yet, I'm going to start showing you the clips. Oh, here's my buddy again. Let's bring him in. And we're gonna let you two guys in the back sit for a second, and we're gonna try to get through these questions with Josue, and we'll bring you guys in just in case we have another issue. So, go ahead. What else would you like to say about your draft class? I'm all ears. I think you guys nailed it. I wouldn't give you a grade, but if I had to give you a grade, I'm gonna say A, because for right now you plugged everybody in that you need to.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. Like, I think overall, like, in terms of like what we needed to do, like we still obviously need to like shore up the defense still. So, like, obviously they made the picks there that needed to happen. There's still some things that they can still work on. Some of that could probably be worked on through the offseason, just through coaching and practicing. So, I'm still kind of hopeful for this upcoming season. But this draft, like, I want to say I feel really good about it. I'm happy that they drafted offensively. Like I said, historically they don't always draft offensively, so it was a good balance, and it helps when you have a bajillion picks to do that with. But like,
yeah, 13 picks. You guys had a lot of picks to play with. So let's go ahead and ask a couple of these good questions real quick, and then I'm going to have my guys come on that I'd like you to meet, and then we'll all ask questions. And you're the star of the show, man. So they're going to be asking you the questions. So Piss, I think we answered this question. Are you happy with the draft picks this year?
Yeah, pretty happy. I mean, again, hopeful, but we'll see how it pans out. But I'm excited.
This is a little bit of a harder question. Who are you excited to see this year at Lambeau? Like what Packer players are you excited to see?
I mean, this might sound like a cop out, but like obviously every first round pick is always the one that you want to see the most. And so when we look at it, like again, I do want to see Van Ness. Like hopefully it pans out, because like most teams who like draft, whoever they draft first is usually the one that has, in their opinion, that likelihood of being that standout rookie who can bring something to the team. And again, like I mentioned this before, the Packers defense, suspect most of the time, like half the time. So I'm excited. I'm excited to like have a hopefully decent player that can contribute to the team. And again, having that edge rusher will definitely, like, again, if he turns out to be something really good, really special, as long as he can like contribute a couple plays every game. Like, I'm not even asking for like all the good snaps, but if he can contribute something, like that'll mean something. Because again, like the Packers defense overall, like this past season was better. Like the whole reason why the Packers even had a hope of making the playoffs was because the defense kept them in it most of the time. It was Aaron Rodgers who didn't quite have the options to throw to. But I'm so excited because, again, knowing that this past season the defense was pretty solid, and then you bring in 6 new people, and again, the one to look for will be Van Ness. I'm curious to see what that looks like, because again, that's going to help a budding quarterback. Like the fact that the defense will hopefully keep them in the game enough that it won't get away from them, and then Jordan Love can just look at it and be like, okay, it's fine. We're going to take this one drive at a time. and hopefully, like again, the defense keeps them in that. It's just one drive. All you need is one good drive, and so that's what I'm looking forward to.
Uh, two more questions for you. Two questions, and then we're going to bring in the panel. Thank you, everybody, for patiently waiting. Pros and cons of the Aaron Rodgers trade. What do you
Yeah,
like about it? What do you don't like about it?
I mean, so like the Packers, honestly, like I don't know if I brought this up last time you and I talked, but like the Packers essentially brought this upon themselves because they drafted Jordan Love without even communicating with Aaron Rodgers whatsoever. But obviously, the Packers knew like how much longer is Aaron Rodgers going to be playing for? How much how much more gas does he have left in the tank? And then a lot of people have been bringing this up because like every season for the last few seasons, it always seems like, oh, is he going to retire now? Oh, how about now? And again, like this past season, he literally went into that quote unquote darkness retreat because he was 90% certain that he was going to retire. So, like, overall, it's like there's different lenses to look at this whole situation from. I would say purely business, purely objective. The Packers, fortunately, traded him, so they got picks. They got picks. They got picks this draft. They're gonna get picks next draft. So at least from a pure business perspective, they got something versus nothing. Which so for the Packers end, and I will say this, like I was surprised by the deal. Not so much that oh Aaron Rodgers got traded, but how much did the Packers get from that trade? And I will say honestly, the Jets gave up too much. Like I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad
Mm-hmm.
about it. But the Jets gave up too much for a guy who just like when you think about Tom Brady was still undeniably one of the best quarterbacks when he went to Tampa. There was no concern of like, oh, can he still play? Can he still play at that caliber? And we saw that. We saw that from Tom Brady. We did not see that this past season. Aaron Rodgers didn't play like the Aaron Rodgers that we know. We didn't see those surgical throws. We didn't see some of those things that Aaron Rodgers is known for. And again, part of it is the Packers don't have that offense around him to help him look like that. But regardless, like just like Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers always plays with new receivers, and it's always Aaron Rodgers who makes the receivers. And
Yeah.
Tom Brady always makes his receivers. So um, I would say that definitely the Packers made out like bandits there, but it's just like a ugly situation. Like, and unfortunately, like, this is how it went down with Brett Favre. Like when Brett Favre left, it was another one of those. It wasn't a good breakup. Like this time, like Aaron Rodgers is like, oh yeah, I would like to play for the Jets, so he did ask for it, but he only asked for it because he found out that they were shopping him around. They didn't ask him ahead of time, like, hey, you retiring? You cool? We like trade you? Like there was no communication, so it's yet again another one of those rocky breakups where it's like, unfortunately, that sucks. And like as a fan, it sucks. It sucks for me knowing that two of the best modern players, Brett Favre and Rodgers, for the team that is, two of our better players. Like sure, Brett Favre, the Packers, they made up. Things are better, but like you don't forget when you get a little crossed. You don't forget that. You don't just like drop that. And again, in this situation, like Aaron Rodgers is even like more prideful. So you you take this guy who thought they had his back, and they're like shopping around, like, "Hey, you want this guy?" So, like, my curiosity is down the road when he does eventually retire. Is he going to retire as a Packers? Like, will the Packers do the whole 1 day thing and let him retire as a Packer? Does he even want to retire as a Packer now? Like, he has a road named after him by Lambeau. You can only hope that everything goes well. But like as a fan, like that's the things that I think about because like obviously even though Rodgers only won one Super Bowl, like I still love the guy, and I still respect him. But like when you think about it, like again, there's the objective and subjective side. The pros come from the objective side. We got quite a few picks. We saw some of them this past weekend. We're gonna see more of them next season. Again, hopefully he plays most of the season. We'll see it. We'll get another first round pick. We got 2 first round picks next year, so let's go. So that's the pros because like I think I mentioned this last time as well that again at some point the Packers were going to have to move on for Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers at some point he can't play forever, just like Tom Brady can't play forever. Like at some point you have to move on. So it was going to happen one way or another. These feelings that the fans are going through, because I know a lot of fans are like heartbroken. I know I seem very like calculated, but I've been looking through a lot of the different Packers forums. A lot of people are upset. A lot of fans are upset. That is.
So for me, I know we got Joe Montana and Steve Young. I'm a little young. I'm your age, so we don't really remember, the Joe Montana, what it meant for the Niners to get traded, and then he goes to Kansas City, and at that time, Kansas City really hadn't won anything, or they really aren't anything. It's funny, Kansas City does seem to take a lot of 49er quarterbacks from that time, maybe even before that time. They seem to get our cast-offs, but it's really hard for me to see the same situation that you went through where, you have somebody like Brett Favre who's been Mr. Title Man, right? He took you guys 2 Super Bowls. He's the hero, right? So it would be like, for me, like an example of like Steve Young would have got traded to another team. I don't know how I would have reacted to that. It's almost like with Peyton Manning coming off of the Colts. I really wanted the Niners to try to go and get Peyton Manning. And I like Kaepernick, but I was like, let's win a Super Bowl now, right? Well, he would have went to the Dolphins, the Broncos, or the Niners that year. We didn't get that chance. And for Aaron Rodgers, I'll be honest, he's been my favorite quarterback since he's come out. The Niners should have taken him. And I think I've said this to you with our last show. The reason he didn't get taken by the 49ers is he didn't open up the door for his mom. Hey,
right.
Whose fault is that? Is that Aaron Rodgers' fault? Is that his mom's fault for not, being like, open my door, or, his dad's fault? Is that the Niners' fault for looking at that and thinking, okay, we need mannerism, and not athleticism? I don't know if that's the right choice, but he has been a little bit more vocal than Brett Favre has. I think he's going to continue to do that. I see it similar, kind of like the T.O. situation. I don't think T.O., I could be wrong, I don't think he retired as a 49er. I think he retired as a Cowboy.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. I really am. But I think the Packers would let him come back or retire. I think it's going to take a while. I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. And if he wins a Super Bowl with the Jets, I think that just goes that much further down the road. Really quick before we bring in our panel, I'm going to give you my surprise prediction for the Super Bowl this year.
Oh, yeah?
It is, of course, the 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to be playing against the New York Jets. That's my Super Bowl prediction. The Jets have a top 3 to top 5 Super Bowl, top defense in the league right now. I think with Aaron Rodgers coming across, I think they have a quarterback, like you were saying earlier. He knows the ins and outs where he can ad-lib. He's going to take the seconds down. He's going to make a defense get tired just standing there in their stance. They're going to get tired over the course of the day. And then with that, but Alvarez-Mapp, my buddy. The last question, and let's bring the panel on, but let's make this a quick question. Your thoughts on the Packers' new offensive weapon, and you know who I'm talking about. If you didn't know, the Packers, they got him a kicker, and I'm really happy with their kicker. He's from Auburn.
If he can turn into like what Mason Crosby was, that steady kicker for a while, because Crosby for a while was good. People forget this, but Mason Crosby was good for a while. I picked him up in every fantasy football draft because I was like, he doesn't miss. My man's doesn't miss. And then he started missing. But there was a good 2-3 seasons where he was good. And so that's what I'm hoping for with this new guy. Like, I think
Carlson.
I think we as fans we have taken kickers for granted, but I think in the last 3 seasons we started seeing where if you have a bad kicker, you're gonna have a bad time. So I'm hoping that this guy is going to be consistent in the NFL as well.
All right, we're gonna bring on some friends. Somebody might have the TV up in the background a little loud. And it might be Korey, but Korey's to your right. Jeff's down below. Jon Jay, he's right below you. And you have Ryan to the right. Thank you everybody for coming and waiting. If you have any questions for my guy Alvarez-Mapp, feel free to ask. He's the star of the show. So he is obviously a 49er fan. No, he's a Packer fan. And he knows a lot about the Niners. So if you guys have any questions or anything at all, just go ahead and ask him. How are you doing, Korey?
What's your faith in Jordan Love? Do you think they should have gone at a quarterback this year?
Yeah, so the Packers did end up picking, who was it? The dude from Penn State, Sean Clifford, in the 5th round.
I meant like a higher up. You know what I mean?
That's what I was
Pick
going to
that
say.
actually might compete.
That's what I was going to say, because I don't have a lot of faith in Jordan Love. That's only because he's unproven to this time. Like Aaron Rodgers has been healthy and well for so long that they didn't need to play Jordan Love that much. So, if you look at a lot of the media is going to say oh, look at these numbers, these stats from the 3-4 games that he's played, and they're really spiky. But again, I wonder that when he starts playing regular reps and teams start making adjustments, that's my curiosity: is he truly the man? I would love for nothing more than Jordan Love to be the next quarterback in 15 years. But I also know that it's very rare for any team to be as healthy in the quarterback department as the Packers have been for the last 30 years. So I would like for Jordan Love to be the guy, and I'm glad that if Jordan Love turns to be that guy for the Packers, then great. The Packers look great this draft from not picking up a higher tier quarterback this time around. But
shouldn't we have seen something by now? Don't you think? Even though he wasn't taking first team reps and all that, he's had enough time on the practice squad against his own defense, which should make you better decision making. You know what I mean? Because you're playing against better quality defense on the scout offense team. So I think they really screwed up on that pick, and they Gutekunst is trying to act like he didn't mess up there, because not only did he piss off Aaron Rodgers, but he moved up for a shit quarterback that he's been holding on to this whole time and acting like it's going to be the thing.
Right.
So I think do you see this could be the downfall to him? Down the road?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely. For both the GM and for Jordan Love, this is definitely a make or break season where they picked up a lot of.
How do you go about removing Gutekunst? That's the big question I guess I'd have.
Yep. The fans would have to be upset enough. If this season is just absolutely abysmal, let's say Packers finish bottom 4 in the league overall, I think people will be how does that flip happen so much? Where on paper this team seems okay, so if they're middle of the road, cool, great. But if it's we're now one of the worst teams in the league, I think people will be upset enough that they'd be calling for him to be removed. He won't be removed after this upcoming season. It'd be the season or 2 after that. But I think if it stinks up the joint enough this season, I think that'd be enough.
To me, he's been such a crappy GM. I don't know how he's kept his job this long, and then acts confidently he's doing a great job.
Yep.
And
honestly, I think again, if this upcoming season is terrible enough, I think that those rose tinted glasses come off. People will start to evaluate. When we think about this past season shouldn't have been the way it was. Again, you have Aaron Rodgers. You just have to be decent at your job, and Aaron Rodgers will take you the rest of the way. And he wasn't. That's why the Packers were so awful this past season. And then the season before, it was still like we had hope. Like the Packers' last couple of seasons felt like the Cowboys were like, this is our year.
I'm
But
good.
it wasn't because he hasn't been picking that well.
Where the front door.
So
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
Yeah.
So-
Go ahead.
Yeah, so
John.
I have a question about Jordan Love. When was he drafted? So it's a two-part question. When was he drafted? And are they going to pick up his fifth-year option after this season?
Holy shit.
Yeah. I mean, he was drafted 3 seasons ago, so that was the 2020 draft. He was picked up. That was, again, like right in the pandemic, the midst of everything. I don't know if they're going to pick up his option. Like, again, that's what I was saying. Like, this is also a make or break for Jordan Love because, like, this is his fourth year. So he also has to play if he wants to get that option. Or even if, let's say, he knows that he doesn't want to be with the Packers. Let's say he's also like, I'm ready to be gone with this franchise. He still has to play if he wants another team to pick him up.
Mm-hmm. The reason why I asked this, is because I am technically a scout. I don't have my license, but I scout quarterbacks, and Jordan Love was a bad grade on my quarterback system. I don't know what your coach saw, LaFleur, what he saw, because he was a late second round, third round talent.
Yeah.
He played in New Mexico. He played in Utah State. They play in the MAC conference, not a good conference. So that year that he played was his worst year besides his freshman year. His sophomore year was his best year, where if he was a redshirt sophomore, he could have been eligible to leave earlier. Maybe that would have changed everything, but he went back to school, and that's why I've never been a Jordan Love guy. I've spoken to Packer fans, Packers content creators, and Packers reporters, and a good podcast network. They're called Game On Wisconsin. Good dudes. They're a little bit more out there, the way that they do their content, but they're real. They're not afraid to speak their minds. And they said that we paid Aaron Rodgers all this money to stay because they were concerned about Jordan Love. Do you agree with that statement from all these Packer, personnels?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. It was too much, and that's the reason why they had to trade him before September. Because if September rolled around and they didn't trade him, that's an extra $60 million on the cap just to pay him, and they didn't want to pay him. Like that's the reason why they drafted Jordan Love. It's because they don't want to pay. Like they knew they were going to move on, but they weren't too certain, like you were talking about. So they kept Aaron Rodgers around, so that way Aaron Rodgers can teach Jordan Love a little bit. Like Jordan Love can learn underneath him, like how Rodgers learned underneath Favre. And so I think that's what they were hoping for. Was like, oh, if we do it exactly the same way, because Aaron Rodgers was drafted 3 years before Favre left. They're hoping that maybe, the math checks out, everything does this, and we'll be fine. I think that's part of the reason why they paid that much, but we'll see again how it pans out. I'm cautiously optimistic with Jordan Love. Like again, 3 games, he's did fine, but they weren't the prettiest looking games. We'll see how it turns out for this upcoming season.
I have a question to back up that question. What do you think Aaron Rodgers helped Jordan Love? Was he willing to help Jordan Love?
I don't think that Aaron Rodgers did, because by the time that Jordan Love came in, that's when we've had more of this like I don't want to call Aaron Rodgers an asshole, but he was definitely more rude in the last few years than he was before. And so I don't think he really like mentored him like how we see some players do, like in some transitions where some quarterbacks know this is going to be the end. Let me mentor. Like I think Tom Brady did that with Jimmy Garoppolo, and with thinking about Jimmy G. I think with a few other players, Tom Brady did that. I don't think Aaron Rodgers really like mentored Jordan Love as much as Jordan Love was there to just soak up the information that he heard from Aaron Rodgers, as well as from like what he's heard from reviewing the tapes, what he's heard from his coaches, etc.
let's go to Minor Niner, Jeff. He's got a question. I know he's been waiting to ask, and I want to say hi to David and Tarrerdome, and thank you everybody for being on mute while everybody's asking questions. We're gonna get to everybody, and hopefully everybody's here and excited. I have my good buddy from high school. He's actually my brother, and I know you can't tell. I got the looks in the family, but he's a Packer fan. So if you guys got
How'd you get all the hair too? You got the looks and the hair?
I think I just woke up and I don't know if he just rubbed his hands.
Both
and
you
I don't
got
know
bad eyes though. I can tell you,
It's true.
That's messed up, right?
But go ahead, Jeff. Let's hear what you got to say. You're muted.
You're muted,
Let
Jeff.
Let me unmute you.
Yeah, unmute him.
sorry.
Wiki, wiki, wiki.
Go ahead, Jeff.
My question for you is: do you see Aaron Rodgers ever reaching the status of Brett Favre? And if you think so, at what point?
Yeah, I mean, again, there's two lenses to look at that. Like, if we could look again objectively just on stats, I would say that on stats alone, Aaron Rodgers has already exceeded that. But I think there's obviously the subjective part. Brett Favre went to 2 Super Bowls. Aaron Rodgers has only been to 1. So Aaron Rodgers desperately needs this Jets upcoming season to hopefully be as good as everybody hopes and dreams that it'll be. And if he can, even if he just makes it to the Super Bowl and he does well offensively with the Jets, I think that will solidify from a subjective point where, look at that, Aaron Rodgers went to a new team, just like Brett Favre did when Brett Favre eventually went to the Vikings, just like when Tom Brady went to the Bucs. Where if he can do that, great. If not, we're looking at Russell Westbrook with the Broncos, where you're just like, yikes. And if that happens, that ruins everything. So, again, there's the objective and the subjective. Objectively, numbers are already there. He beat every record from Brett Favre. But people don't look at that because, again, when you think of these type of players, you think they're going to win, win, win. And that's why we think about Tom Brady, because he just wins. But then when you think about Rodgers, he wins in the regular season, but in the postseason, it's a different story.
The one question that I would be interested, because I don't have the stats in front of me, but I'd like to see who's been to more NFC Championship games, Rodgers or Favre. And at this point, if I had a bet, I would say it's probably Rodgers.
No, I would say it's Favre.
You think Favre has? He's been to more. Okay.
I would say so. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I can tell you that I've had many heartbreaks because if you remember, Favre had his iconic last 3-4 minutes pick 6 that would just ruin the rest of the season for the Packers. So, and he did that also with the Vikings. I was like, it's Favre again. He did it again, because that's why the Vikings didn't do it, because again, NFC Championship.
Okay.
Threw an interception at the end.
We will go back and revisit that. That's going to be for our next show. David McNiner, are you ready? Do you have a good question for anybody on the panel, or if you need a little longer, I'll shoot it down to Tarrerdome. Okay, you're ready.
So I really don't have a good question for anybody on the panel. Well, when it comes down to it, Ryan, what are your thoughts on that Jeff Fisher guy? I've watched a lot of tape, and the guy just mauls people.
It seems like he's trying to leave everybody he comes across with a mark they can never get rid of. Permanently put some kind of a mark on him, like a scar, something. What I mean? He's Joey Fisher. He's always looking to pancake somebody. Even when they're down, he's trying to seal the deal. He's nasty. He's nasty. I like him. He's somebody that will take your soul, essentially. He will beat you so many times and so toughly, you will be demoralized, and you won't be able to fight as hard as you were at the beginning of the game. It's what's going to happen. It's a mean SOB.
I honestly think Kittle and the group of guys we have, I think he fits right in.
Oh, the moment he tosses somebody, he is definitely part of the clique. You know what I'm saying? The moment he just throws somebody, he's doing some Trent Williams shit out there. You know what I'm saying? He is just moving grown men like it's nothing. Now, some of the people in his division weren't necessarily, the bigger best, but they still weigh something. Okay.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? They still got weight.
Yes.
They might not have good technique, and he threw him constantly. There was one play, he just like shoved a guy and he took a couple steps, like it wasn't going to be that bad, but he couldn't stop with the momentum. And once he fell, he slid. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I agree.
So let me introduce my other brother, Tarrerdome. Me and him share a very similar birthday date. His granddaughter, right, is on the same birth date as me, August 24th. And he's a big Laker fan, to let you know, Josh Alvarez. But this guy, you and me both have a lot of experience in public speaking and doing different things. We won't go too far into that background, but you know what I'm talking about. Tarrerdome is going to come on, and after you hear him just for a couple minutes, you are if you're not blown away. I don't know. I mean, I don't have a tie on. I'm not doing the Mel Kiper thing.
It's like the draft.
But come on in, Tarrerdome. Ask anybody any question, and if you got any good questions for my buddy Mapp up on the top, just ask away.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning. Good morning. Good Sunday morning. As I woke up, because I was a little bit down on the draft, I felt that, man, we didn't address that offensive line like I wanted to, man. It's some players out there. I really wanted to get that right tackle. I was on with Nothing But Niners the whole time. And we ain't gonna talk about when we got that kicker in the third round, but I'm on there and I'm just scratching off these names, and I got one circled right there. I said he's still out there. He's still out there. He's still out there. And even after the draft, I'm like, oh man, what are we gonna do? What's going on, Batman? How could we not? We need a menacing right tackle. And as I woke up this morning, early Sunday morning, I seen my tweet. Shout out to Callie Young. He tweeted that bad boy out. The San Francisco 49ers have signed an undrafted free agent, Joey Fisher, Shepherd University in West Virginia. Boy, my heart just exploded a little bit, because that's my guy. That's who we've been looking at. That's who I've been needing. Stomping on the floor, I tweeted John Lynch, go get this man. If we had McKivitz the whole time and he was the answer, and you had McGlinchey out there getting thrown like Superman in reverse, or like on Jazzy Jeff in the Fresh Prince when they used to throw Jazzy out, why wasn't McKivitz in there if he's the answer? But now, my friends, I got a guy coming in the building now. We're going to see what's right. We're going to see what's wrong. We're separating the men from the boys, the riders from the punks. Everybody, as you're watching the draft in our division, was ramping it up in terms of linebackers and defensive ends. And that's how you do it. Everybody wanted to get more ball players to come after your quarterback. We had a protection problem. If you lose 4 quarterbacks, it ain't the quarterback, as I was arguing with Mike yesterday. It ain't the receivers. It ain't this. It ain't that. Dude, you got a protection problem. And you need somebody who scares the living crap out of the guy in front of them and will fight to the teeth and to no end for your quarterback to be protected. You need the Secret Service. You need a bodyguard. You need that big dude. You need a menacer. Whoa. That's what I'm looking for, and that's what we got. Somebody.
Are you shaving with just a regular shaver? No, get out of here with that. Go get yourself a Ginsu knife. Go get yourself a Ginsu knife. You've been talking about shaving your head with a sword this whole time, and you got a regular straight razor. Get out of here with that BS, Jeff.
You shaving your head now?
He'd be talking about he's going to Guinness Book of World Records shave his head with a katana, and he's over here with a regular razor. No. How are you going to get your skill up? Go get you something.
I have to.
Don't mess with us.
call-in shows on Friday nights on No Border Sports. They're a lot of fun. We've had Jeff come in a couple times, and like Ryan's talking about, he shaves with knives, his face, other people. And the last time we had talked to him, he was talking about getting a knife, a big sword. And I guess you got to get a permit because he's on the other side of the world right now. And that's us Niner fans, right? We are everywhere. There's fans in Australia. There's everywhere. Everywhere.
There you go.
So, shout out to Jeff for popping in right now. It's nighttime over there, isn't it?
You don't have any cream
No.
or just
His face is strong.
Y'all
Face
go
is strong.
Y'all go hard.
I have to say something.
And that's how hard Joey Fisher will go for us. That's what I'd like to see. These are the
welcome
fans
to the
and they
Twilight
screaming
Zone.
I have to say something about Joey Fisher. Like the school name, is a interesting one. But I looked at his draft grade, and I'm not sure what team saw that had him drop, and the Niners signed him. He had a really good grade. I'm not saying he was first round, second, but he had a really good grade. The body size, wow. All those pancakes, all the stuff that, and I do think it's the schools, it's unfair for some of these kids who can't make it to D1, D2, have to play maybe D3 or subdivision of Division 1. But when you're given a grade, and a lot of people, the competition, this, that, but big frame, big body guy can take you down this, and just like a Ryan said, you're still taking out big dudes, not Division 1, but you're still taking down big dudes. So I'm glad he's on the squad. We got good coaches on the offensive line. If he beats out a bunch of people, I wouldn't mind. And I've been yammering about offensive line, and just like you said, Tarrerdome, when quarterbacks are falling down, it's not the quarterback's fault. It's not the receiver's fault. You have to put 2 and 2 together, and you figure out something's wrong with the offensive line.
It's the protection. It's
So
the protection.
David McNiner, did you get to see the undrafted free agent list yet?
We definitely talked about some last night.
I was looking at it, and I haven't had the chance to do a ton of research on the guys yet. Most of them I've never heard of before, but that's fine. That's just the way it is, But I did spend a lot of time watching film on Joey Fisher though, and I was like I know he's Division 2, but why did this guy go undrafted?
That's what I'm saying. Like, how bad do you have to sleep on this? Like, you couldn't, obviously the 49ers knew nobody was going for him. You know what I mean? Or else they would have just spent a 7-round pick on him. You know what I mean? But yeah.
And the secret was out because Kuiper said, "Oh yeah, they're gonna get him at 99," and I'm like, "No, Kuiper, don't talk to people about what are you doing?"
Wasn't Will Levis not supposed to go? Will Levis was supposed to go number 2, right?
Yep.
He was supposed to go in the first round.
Well, no, Mel Kiper, I believe, said Will Levis was supposed to go number 2.
Well,
Mel Kiper.
And he meant second round, not number 2 overall, I guess.
That's what he meant. Yeah, it was
a
typo.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I misspoke.
So, dude, Mel Kiper also said that DeMarcus Russell is going to be the next star of the NFL.
Yes.
So, I mean, everything he says, I just
Mel Kiper
I don't
say that.
Yeah.
And when he said
is he?
Just a second. Mel Kiper did say that, but you guys all remember when Jamarcus Russell was on his knee on the football field, and he threw the ball like 80 yards. Yeah. Mel Kiper got on his knee and said that right after he seen that 80-yard pass. So I mean,
he got on both knees and said that.
I mean, hallelujah, right? If you could throw the ball, stop. That's a bad look. But if you can throw the ball 80 yards on one knee, I mean, what more can you say? You just need the guy to watch the tape, right?
Marcus Russell, the biggest waste of talent ever in the NFL, you think?
Oh my God!
I honestly think he could be.
I see Tony Mandarich. Tony Mandarich was way publicized. He was huge. He's supposed to be the next
Oh, I have not
menacing
heard that.
big guy. Can't miss.
So was the boss.
Yeah, the boss.
Yeah,
It's
that's
been a couple of them that just
That's why
for
I'm
whatever
wondering if
reason disappointed.
would Jamarcus Russell's payday push him over the top? Do you think that has any weighing in the people's thoughts, or is it just performance on the field and being taken so high? What's your thoughts on how you would grade that?
I think if you're judging it on the scale of what you made versus what you put in, he's real high. It's hard to beat that bar right there. And then we had remember Sam Bradford? He just stayed injured all the time.
Yeah.
He had a pretty spectacular payday as well.
Yeah.
But
And he kept getting
yeah,
signed.
He also
He kept
held
getting
out.
signed.
He also
He
held
had
out
hope.
because he wanted to get paid. I think he was the last rookie quarterback, and the NFL realized we can't be paying these rookie quarterbacks because I think Russell held out for 6 years, $72 million, and Bradford held out for 6 years, $82 million, and they didn't even step on the field compared to the contracts the rookies are getting. Like they were like, oh yeah, like you took me number one, I'm supposed to be the face of your franchise.
Yeah.
And when they saw the rookies, and that's why I think, again, this is off topic, that I think the NFL is going to realize that eventually they don't want quarterbacks to be paid 60, 70, because what happens one day, 10 years down the line, when you're paying a quarterback $100 million, that's just ridiculous. So hopefully they realize the same error with the rookies in the early 2000s.
Yeah, they had to cap it because it would just crush a franchise. If you miss on that big money pick, and you're already sorry to begin with because you're picking 1, 2, and 3. So if you miss on this guy and you pay them roughly 12, 15% of your entire salary cap, and you miss, dude, your franchise is done for at least 5, 6 years.
So
And I think what we're going to be seeing.
Go ahead, Josh.
Sorry. I was going to say, I think what we're going to be seeing moving forward here is, because we've seen now 2 contracts, and I think that this is going to be the way of the future for the NFL, because I don't know why it came to this, but we see now Jalen Hurts got his contract, and we finally got Lamar Jackson with his contract, and both of those are riddled with stipulations on performance. And I think that that's what we're going to start to see as future quarterbacks come through. There's going to be very few quarterbacks and players in general that are probably to have guaranteed money, because that's the reason when we talk about these rookies, that's the reason why there's a cap, is because how many rookies have we seen come through and didn't perform? And so that's why the NFL is like, yo, y'all got to stop paying these people so much money, because they're not always putting out. And so I think we're going to start to see that with more of especially the skill positions where, okay, you think you're hot shit? Cool. We'll give you the money, but only if you produce. So I think that's what we'll probably start to see in the coming years. Few people like Patrick Mahomes will be like one of the few exceptions where they get guaranteed money, and that's it.
Yeah. True.
And that was that was to their defense. This was their second contract. It wasn't their rookie, but
right.
And you've shown something that says this is our guy. He's played X amount of games. We feel really confident in this for the next 10 years. So if you feel that way, if you got your franchise guy, pull the trigger. But in the case of somebody like, CJ Stroud just coming in, dude, we don't know yet. So we can't cripple the franchise and throw you 150 guaranteed tomorrow,
Well, so that's my question, I guess we'd be leading into, and this is for everybody. And I don't want to sound ignorant, but you have like sports, right? This is a sporting event. It's an entertaining business. I get it. These aren't movie stars, but we put them on pedestals like movie stars. You look at NBA players and what they get. You look at what NFL players get. But let's go back a little bit. And what about like a race car driver, right? If a race car driver wins the race, he gets money, right? But if he crashes, what's his guarantee? What's his insurance policy, right? Is he
the endorsements?
Yep.
So from there, once the endorsements run out, he doesn't have a paycheck coming anymore, right? So I guess it's just a different marketing. It's a different way of getting paid. But we are putting these guys up here like pedestals, right? quarterbacks are getting hurt, and we are still having to guarantee their money to them because that's expected. They're expected to make that much money. Doctors, ambulance drivers, police officers, firefighters do not make anywhere near this money. And if they get hit or they get burned up or, like whatever, they're driving through the light and get smashed by another truck. This is not, ideal, right? And you don't have the same push for people saying, I want to be a firefighter. I want to be, a police officer. I get it. Not everybody wants to be a cop. But my mentality and my thoughts here is when are we going to put a stop? When are we putting a cap at it? Because when we first had NFL, and I know this is 50, 70, almost 100 years ago, there were players like Johnny Unitas who were bricklayers and quarterbacks. John Otto, they were Army guys and they were football players. Jerry Rice was catching bricks with his hands. I know that was before he was in the NFL, but it's the same thing. It's like these guys need so much money. They should have their air insurance if there's something healthy or medical happen to them later in the future taken care of. But I don't think they should be guaranteed millions and millions of dollars. And then we sit back and say they only played 2 games, they're a bust. Oh man, that guy got paid and he's a bust. We don't say that about firefighters. We don't say that about ambulance drivers. We don't say that about barbershop guys. So I mean, I think something's going to have to click here. Something's going to have to change. Baseball has a minor league and a major league. We don't have that in football. We have arena football. We have extreme football. We have all this other stuff that's not football.
Well, we do have a minor league. It's just called the Los Angeles Rams.
So you guys see what I'm saying. And if anybody wants to, add to that, or we want to get a different topic, that's fine. But I think something like John said too, something's going to have to change because the quarterbacks can't have $100 million.
So I have spoken about this since last year on other shows. Our boy YTC, I talk with him, personally. I've built a good relationship. That dude's a good dude. He's a Giants fan, East Coast guy, New York. And one of the things that I talk with him and some of his good friends is that the NFL has a salary cap. So that's, one thing. So the commissioner after the Super Bowl was talking about in a press conference, talking about the pay-per-view, the new NFL, how you watch games, that was dumb. You had to take that away. But someone asked him about the salary cap. And he says, we're going to look at the quarterbacks, not the positions, the quarterbacks. And he said that we're going to talk to the union. I don't know the next bargaining agreement. I know in 2020, they passed the 10-year bargaining agreement. They're going to look into it before 2030. And they want to look at an early vote to do something and give 4 tiers of quarterback contracts. So quarterbacks who are doing good, they're producing, they're staying healthy, they're winning championships, they're helping the teams. They can get what is called a max salary cap contract where even quarterbacks cannot assess or go too high. And then you have 3 other tiers. You got a quarterback who's decent enough, consistent, playing in the league, but isn't doing like quarterbacks like a Mayfield or like Kirk Cousins. So you don't overpay these guys. You give them like tier 1. Like Jimmy Garoppolo, we make fun of him, but a guy who's okay, a game manager system, you give him a tier contract and then a 3rd tier contract. The reason why they say that is because even Roger Goodell has noticed that now you have technically 4 quarterbacks who have cap hits of 50 million and higher. So he says that we're going to look at that in the next 5 years as the next bargaining agreement comes up, because he even says that what happens if a team uses their entire salary cap like 15, 20 years down the road, and they're giving all the salary cap? How do you pay for the other 52 players on the roster? So I think Goodell is realizing it. And I think Lamar Jackson, like the way he, was goofing around with his contract, I think the NFL, oh, man, this guy has no agent. He doesn't know what he's doing. The Ravens are goofing around because the Ravens are also messing around, and Goodell did not like that. So I think that's why he said that. And hopefully we figure out something. I do want the players to be compensated, that there should be a guaranteed salary. And if they're going to give them more money, there has to be more things, like not just like signing bonuses and roster bonuses and incentives and workout bonuses. There should be like more stuff Like when they did with Kyler Murray, they gave him his 40-something million, but he had to go and watch film and do his work and practice. And apparently, I didn't know Kyler Murray didn't want to practice, only play the game. So look what the Cardinals did. They put their foot down. Hey, Kyler Murray, study, watch the film. Yeah. So I just wanted to, just little.
Yeah, I like that, and I'd like to just expand that a little bit, because it would, and maybe everybody can go into detail or their thoughts on how this is going to work out. Because if they were going to do a 4 bracket or some kind of tier level of quarterback, how would you evaluate or decide, okay, Patrick Mahomes is going to be paid this much and somebody like Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be paid this much? Because they both have almost the same amount of wins. Their stats, like they didn't throw the same amount of touchdowns, but the other team. So like, for one example, maybe a team doesn't have the most passing touchdowns, but they have more running touchdowns. But the quarterback ran in more touchdowns than the running back did. So you would have to have some kind of incentive base. And then my pushback for that would be, you have a quarterback, right? And he just has to score one more touchdown or rush one more yard, and he gets, a bigger payday, right? But then the quarterback is being told by the coach, just kneel, run out the clock. We got the game. How about that kicker needing to come out and kick that one extra field goal, just get one more point to get into a pay bracket, and he's set. But we don't want to do that because we don't want to blow out the other team. I think players individually would start to become aggressive and say, no, it's about stats to me. I have to produce. I have to be right here, right now, instead of I just need to do what the team needs to do to win. They're going to make it more about me. Does anybody agree to that, or what do you guys think to that?
It's a stat-based business. We throw more numbers around probably than Wall Street does on a daily basis with everything from confluences of numbers to oscillators and indicators. I do some day trading on the side too. But you have to assess the value of a quarterback, and I have like a algorithm in terms of what a quarterback is truly worth. If you can project, or if you see, or he hovers around an average where his touchdowns, his passing touchdowns, minus his interceptions, that's probably how much he's worth in millions of dollars. Case in point, if you threw 20 touchdowns and only 3 interceptions, you're, to me, worth about $17 million. We do it for pass rushers. You're worth $1 million a sack. If you are projected to do $1 million a sack, that's probably how much you're going to be making. I don't know if it's how they do it, but my numbers line a lot up to things like Spot Rack and the other salary cap websites. Because I would say, how do they assess value? How you know when you got a sorry guy? For running backs, for every 100 yards, that's $1 million. Throw touchdowns on top of it, but I minus fumbles. And you just look, that's how you know if you got a good running back or if you're paying him correct. If you do it any other way and just say, well, I like this guy's jaw. He really looks good when he's shaved. And, shout out Jimmy G, who's the Anna Kournikova of all quarterbacks. You got to do it by assessing value and putting the point value. And we have a lot for inflation as well.
Yeah, and again, that's kind of what I was alluding to with all this, where when we look at the Jalen Hurts and Jackson, the contracts that they got, it is laden with how many touchdowns are you scoring, are you getting to the AFC Championship, NFC Championship games, things like that. And that's kind of the problem, I guess, that we're in when we look at the NFL, is that contracts are one of two things. Like when you look at Patrick Mahomes, he just has guaranteed money. Now, obviously, he's done really well for the franchise, so I don't think anybody's going to be like, Patrick Mahomes doesn't deserve all this money. But then when you look at like Jimmy G, when we look at Jordan Love, we look at some of these other players that are not proven, not quite there. I think that's why we look at numbers, is because like a player doesn't want to sign a contract that isn't objective. Because if it's subjective of, well, how are the fans feeling kind of situation, or how are we doing as a team? And nobody wants to sign a contract that's based off of just that subjectiveness, which is why everything's based off of numbers. How many touchdowns, how many sacks, things like that. I don't say that that's perfect, but I think that the more contracts that we start to see that is really based off of performance, I mean, yes, that does create those wrong incentives like you were talking about, Brian. But I think that the alternative is like again, we're seeing a lot of players who are guaranteed a lot of money, like Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is guaranteed a lot of money, and how much of that does he deserve? When we look at this past season, his performance versus now what the Jets are going to have to pay when he's here with the Jets, like that's $60 million come September for a dude who didn't put out as well as Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
And your front office has got to be smart with it. And we're using a template. Basically, we're using the Seattle Seahawks template of we have to have a quarterback who's on a rookie deal so we can sign all of these other great players all along at every core and position on the field. We've got either one or two in the league. Best pass rusher. We've got probably the best running back. We've got all pro receivers. We got all of this stuff, the best offensive tackle you can have. Best pass rusher. Again, I said probably we would like to have the best corner in the business. When a great corner comes up, hey, we got room for that too, because we have a quarterback that can produce either Brock or Trey on a rookie deal, and they're not making, but I know Brock was $900,000. If you can get a quarterback producing a 13-4 interception ratio for $900,000 a year, dude, it's almost like stealing. It's like finding a car that gets you 500 miles to the gallon. This thing's gonna pay for itself. And we got money to put cheese on the Whopper.
Hey, and that
Cheese
that
on the
brings up
waffle?
one more narrative. One more narrative
Whopper,
I've heard.
Whopper.
Okay.
There's a narrative out there that someone said it. The Niners are looking to keep the team stacked and just constantly draft and develop quarterbacks and have a quarterback that's on a rookie deal and never sign a quarterback to a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think of that?
It's tough.
It's tough. You gotta find a great diamond in the rough. And this
Every
is what we
5
did,
years, 4 years,
Yeah.
every 4 years, because essentially, are you going to first round pick them every year? That's not going to be a thing. You're not going to be able to do that every year. Find a winner in the first round. We moved up from 12 to 3. We couldn't find a guy, in Trey Lance who could start that year at the level that I guess our coach wanted. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that Trey can't do anything. I'm just saying right then and there, Kyle decided that Trey couldn't do it, this and that. We moved on. We're still in this situation. They found a guy in the 7th round they're going to hand the team over to. So to me, you've got, like every 4 years, you got to come up with a diamond in the rough somewhere, not in like the first round or so. And that is too tough to keep producing like that. I mean, if it was that easy, everybody in the league would do it, and then it wouldn't even be a thing at that point. So,
yeah.
What do you think, Korey? Sorry, John. Korey just popped back in.
Oh, it's Korey.
He's in vacation, so I want to give him his time. What do you think, Korey, about the salary cap? Do you think we need to try to cap it off? Do you think quarterbacks should get paid a set number and levels? Or, how are you doing all together? Do you have anything for anybody on the panel you want to ask directly?
Okay. About, not paying a quarterback every year. I don't think that will work. Like Ryan said, and the Motorsport said, you would have to find a diamond every time in the draft to do something like that. And it wouldn't work to me. You just be going from quarterback to quarterback. We'll be playing this game for a long time. I want a quarterback to be, this is our quarterback, like Joe Montana, this is our quarterback. I don't want to be playing the quarterback game because we already doing this right now. Who's going to be our quarterback in 2023? Who's going to be this? So we did that. We'll be going through that mess again.
Well,
So,
you can have it that way, Korey. But when it comes time for the end of, like, let's say for instance, Brock, I don't want no hate out here, but it's going to be time for him to get paid at the end of his 4 years because he was a 7th round. It's not a 5th-year option, but a 4-year option for others that are drafted 2 and down. He's going to come due, and
yeah,
the going rate is going to be substantially higher than what they're paying the guys now. And these are the decisions we're going to have to make.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but see, but now if Brock Purdy proves and he's the guy, then we have to pay the man. I'm sorry, we're gonna have to pay the man. He's our guy.
Yep.
You know, he's our guy. We gotta stick with him. We gotta do it, and that's what we gotta do.
You're 100%
So
right.
you can't just say, "Oh, okay, Brock Purdy goes somewhere else to get paid," and then we pull a rookie. We'd be looking like a retarded organization if we did that.
Wow. Yeah.
But when you get your guy, you got to pay him that, like with Lamar, you got to pay that 160 million, and it's gonna soak up a lot of that salary cap. Now you can't have the best rusher in the game. You can't have
you get a quarterback like Tom Brady.
Yeah.
If Brock Purdy could say, if they could go to Tom Brock Purdy say, "Hey, we can't give you this, but we could give you this." And so we could keep on going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
If we give you this, and then we ain't gonna probably be able to make it to the Super Bowl because we ain't gonna be able to surround you with players to help you get there.
Yep.
That's why I say Tom Brady
he would have to take that pay cut.
He wanted to win.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And he took those cuts like that. But you got to marry Gisele Bundchen, who makes you know.
So I have to say this, like the way the Niners are like basically built right now, we have a lot of talent. You know, I don't have to name off all the players. We have a lot of talent. It's just the quarterback. And Kyle Shanahan in the owners meeting says, we're trying to win a Super Bowl. We want to win a Super Bowl with either a rookie contract or a team friendly contract. But just like, you know, Korey said, just like Tarrerdome says, eventually, say, you know, Trey Lance, you know, is there a week 1 because Brock Purdy will still need some time, and Trey Lance plays really well, holds on to that job, and we win a lot of games, win the division, and then we do well in the playoffs. We go deep in the playoffs. I don't know what's going to happen if we'll win the Super Bowl this year. I don't know. And he does really good. And then next year is, you know, year 4, and he plays again really good. Vice versa. Brock Purdy, so he comes back healthy. He balls out the next couple of years, you know, on that rookie contract. You know, they can't give him a 5th-year option. You have to pay him. But one thing that I have noticed about the Niners, they find a way to get their guaranteed money and make sure not to overtake the money. Now, the quarterback position is very different. But say the Niners are like, you know what? This rookie stuff, this, you know, like these young guys we've drafted is basically we're wasting a lot of time. Why don't they like get someone like a low tier but high reward type of quarterback? For example, like a Mitch Trubisky. He's not going to command a lot of money. You know, he didn't really have the best success in Chicago. He's been a backup for the last couple of years. What if Kyle realized, you know what? Let's find a mid-tier quarterback in their late 20s, early 30s, pay him 25 million for like 3-4 years and try to win a Super Bowl. I think that's the only way to keep a championship team and a quality quarterback. So either Brock Purdy or Trey Lance, one of those guys are like, you know, they love the Niners so much. They're very successful. They're, you know what? I'll do what Tom Brady did. So, you know, maybe they'll be unselfish, or we may have to go that route. So there's only two ways to keep a Super Bowl roster and a great quarterback is if the quarterback is not asking for too much. Those are the only ways. But if they're going to be doing every 4 years, let's draft a new quarterback. 4 years later, it's going to be just dumb. It makes no damn sense. So you either pay the quarterback. That's why a lot of people hated me last offseason. I would rather have gimpy, overhyped Jimmy Garoppolo making the little money, playing BS-ish okay, and the defense and the run game carrying him because it makes a lot of sense. Financially, it made a lot of sense. But we're looking for a good quarterback. So there's just like I'm not a fan of Colin Cowherd. I cannot believe I'm going to quote him. There's two ways to win a Super Bowl. You draft a rookie quarterback, you build around him, and you have 5 years to win a Super Bowl. Or you find a Tom Brady, a really good quarterback who loves the team, takes the pay cut, and that's how you do it. That's just my opinion, my thoughts.
You know what other quarterback was like that? Steve Young. Because like his family was already rich. So money wasn't a thing for him.
And but he played in an uncapped time. Eddie D gave no damns about finding anything, and he did not care. I want Deion Sanders here. I want Jim Burt here. I want Ricky Jackson here. I want Jerry Rice, John Taylor. I want everybody. I'm going to pay them whatever they need. There was no cap then. And those were a little different rules. But
I'm talking about even if a little different. I'm talking about if Steve Young was in this era, he would be probably willing not to take a big old money because he's already got money. His family got money. So he's like Tom Brady, like you say, he got married to Giselle. Steve Young was already with money.
Hall of Famers.
So let me jump in here and let me ask everybody, because the mentality of drafting a quarterback every 3 to 4 years, I kind of think you should draft one every year. And the reason I'm going to ask, and before anybody jumps on me and says, why every year? What's the average lifespan? What's the average expected NFL career?
3 years.
So if we're not drafting a quarterback every 3 to 4 years, then we're not replacing the one that we might be doing okay with. So if we go after one every year or every 2 years, because right now we have several quarterbacks on the roster that need work. So now we have to wait 3 years to get 1 year out of production for a quarterback. It just I think we just got to keep on bringing in a quarterback until we get a quarterback that can stay healthy and continue to go on, because the average length, again, is only 4 years. So if the quarterback's been sitting for 3 or 4 years, by the time they get to start, they don't have too much longer in the league, right? So I could see everybody going about it, a different way, but let's hear what David's got to say, David McNiner. And it's almost time to end the show, guys. So let's give a round table. And then before we're done, I'm going to let everybody know what me and David are going to be doing in the future here. So again, everybody, thanks for coming on. My buddy right here to the side of me, we are going to definitely be doing a show. We're going to try, fingers crossed, once a month. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a show in the morning like we're doing right now. And then eventually we'll have maybe open it up to the panel where we can have a group of you guys come on and talk. But this is going to be me and his 49er, Packer, back and forth a little bit. And then again, we'll open it up to a panel later on. But this will be like a segment once a month that I'm going to really push for me and him to start doing together. But David, let's hear from you. Let's hear what you got going on the rest of the day and what you got going on in the future. And again, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate you. We're going to start with David. We'll drop to Tarrerdome, and then I'll kick it out to everyone else.
Well, for the rest of the day, I'm going to be doing yard work, and then I'm going for a walk in the mountains at some point just to get out of the city.
Oh, nice.
But when it comes to the 49ers, it's time. It's time to win that Super Bowl. It's time to put Trey Lance on the field, let him play, get the kid some reps. That's what he needs. It's just plain time right now.
I agree. I don't think you could say it any better. Let's jump to Tarrerdome real quick because I want to give everybody a couple minutes before we're out of here. I'm trying to be mindful of John's time. John's going to be doing a show here
Oh yeah,
soon.
I
Too.
just realized what time it is. Thank you, Brian.
So Tarrerdome, let us know what you're doing.
You're muted, Tarrerdome.
If the offense was a car, the offensive line is the engine. All the skill positions, all the onboard computers, all the running backs would be wheels, and the niceties of the receivers are your tinted windows. You have to have the engine of the car to really be successful in trying to win a race. I like the fact that we went out and masterfully, and I tweeted John Lynch. That was a masterful signing of getting Joey Fisher. He also picked up a couple of more guys, a defensive back out of Rutgers, another lineman out of Hawaii, and a running back out of UTEP. But he did it as undrafted free agents, which is smart against the cap. You didn't burn what you could have burned jumping up, trading up, giving up all your capital and things of that nature. I think we'll be all right. I think we'll be very, very solid. And we have countered to what the other division has done. And we got to be ready, be tough, be menacing. Let's go get this chip.
Awesome. Niner Minor, Jeff, I'm going to unmute you. Or if you want to unmute, we'll see who's faster. All right, I did it for you. Go ahead and let us know what you got going on. Thank you for coming on the show. Apologize, I had to meet you a couple times.
Yes. Thank you for having me. I want to add to what Tarrerdome said. First of all, I believe that the Niners are a supermoss, which is a German word, which means a suspension vehicle. And the engine does play a very big part in this suspension vehicle, whether it's a motorcycle, and you need that kind of drive, you need that kind of will in order to push things forward. And I also want to say that this question is for Mr. Mapp again. The question I have for you is, out of the entire NFL, who do you think got the best pick overall? What team do you think got the best picks overall?
Well, with the best picks overall, I mean, obviously I'm a little biased with the Packers, but like I think if we're thinking about like who answered like the best questions and who's kind of positioned moving forward, I would say that probably I'm leaning somewhere between the Ravens and, even though I know a lot of people will grade the Ravens poorly, I do like where the Ravens are sitting moving forward.
Oh,
and
God.
them and the
You just made Darwin's Raven just go full hard. You know what I mean? He's got a rager right now.
Like that's where I'm sitting. Like, I know a lot of like, the people who do like the draft grading, like, like
he just said meh on Ravens.
Yeah,
that's his team.
That's like where the team sits. Like, I'm sitting on one of those two personally.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Thank
you. Go to yeah, thank you so much. Korey, let's hear what you got going on. I know you're vacationing. Dude, you look good in the sun, you know, at least where you're at right now. You know, you got it's nice. So hopefully you're having fun down there. Let us know what you're doing. I don't think you're doing the trivia show tonight, so we'll probably have to find out something to do tonight. But how are you?
I'm doing good. You know, like I had my phone cut off on me because it got so hot, even so hot that I can't hardly hold it in my hands. And but today I'm about to go in after this, go have me some homemade soup, and then later on going to back to my cousin's house that we having some crawfish.
Oh wow!
Ooh,
nice.
You jerk!
And maybe
don't tell me there's gonna be greens there. You'll break my heart.
I don't know, but maybe if my other cousin don't forget this time, she forgot to bring it yesterday. Try some alligator.
Oh wow!
Why are you gonna forget the alligator?
It's supposed to taste like 5 pieces of meat, you know, or animal if you eat it in the certain spots are supposed to taste different, or maybe that's turtle. I don't know. But you're gonna
I'll
have
try
to
anything but human. Just
See,
saying.
yesterday we had some.
You draw the line at human.
Instead of having yesterday we had some deer hamburgers.
There you
Oh,
go.
wow.
Venison, nice.
Buffalo is one of my favorite meats. It's very lean, but it's got like natural seasoning to it. It's like naturally flavored. It's got a great flavor, but it's lean and it can be so juicy. Buffalo, just saying. If you ever get a chance for a buffalo burger,
Yeah.
Yep, agreed.
All right. Well,
Darwin.
Corey,
He says
I hope you have a
alligator
good-
is chewy, best in soup.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope you're having a good vacation and can't wait to hear from you again. Please have fun. Keep messaging us, letting us know how you're doing. And when you get back, we're going to be looking forward to that trivia again. But let's go ahead and go to John because it's almost time for his show. And then we're going to go to Ryan. And then me and Mapp up here at the top are going to say something. And then me and David are going to say something. So let's got just a couple minutes, guys.
All right, Brian, perfect timing because I'm about to click off. I got a show in about half an hour. I'm gonna recap the draft. I'm gonna give you my unfiltered opinions. Brian, our fun conversation continues to go on. But shout out to Brian. We have different opinions, but serious. I have a show in half an hour. I'm gonna talk about the safety from Penn State, the kicker from Michigan, and all the other players we picked up. I'm gonna look at why the Niners picked them up, what the scout report said that the Niners really liked. And I also want to get questions and comments in my chat because it's a community channel. So if you have any questions while I'm presenting, or if you have an opinion or you disagree with me, I want to listen to what you guys have to say about the draft. My channel is 49ers Ultimate Reports. I'm going to be talking all week about the draft. I'm going to talk about the undrafted players this upcoming week. Brian, thanks for having me on. Like always, shout out to everyone. Tarrerdome, Korey, Jeff, David. Nice to meet you. What was Alvarez, and then of course Ryan, No Border Sports. It's always good talking to you guys.
All right, buddy. Thanks for coming on. Remember, you're here because we're friends. We don't always have to agree, and appreciate you. Ryan, let's hear what you got going on, Mr. No Border Sports. Dude, first off, before you say anything, shout out to you. The draft couldn't have happened without you. I mean, the whole NFL draft. Without you streaming, I don't think they would have had us, man. We did Mel Kiper, we had all kinds of people. We had the Grazer, we had the bearded one. There were so many takes. Sean McVay popped in, Jason Hurley, Cleo Time. We had a lot of great guests, and if you guys get any chances to go back and watch any of the clips, you definitely don't want to miss the Jake Moody signing. That one came at the end of Ryan's show on the second day, and we all had some great reactions to that. But Ryan, thank you again. Let me hear what you got going on, and how are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. Tomorrow or next week this week will probably be a whole bunch of slew of shows. Probably doing some single content. I'm got chance to put out a lot of stuff, so just make sure you just tap in, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and you'll know when all my stuff goes live.
Awesome. Everybody,
thank you for having me too, and shout out to the chat. Everybody in the chat made it lit today.
Chat was popping. We had a good show today, guys. I really appreciate the panel. Everybody, when we all get a chance to talk and stuff, people's they want to go into detail. It's okay to argue, but let's let everybody at least, hear each other. Tarrerdome, you're always welcome. Just DM me when you want to come on, and I'll shoot you the link. Quick, Josue Alvarez-Mapp. I butcher your name a lot, and that's because I know you as Josh. But if you'd like to tell a little bit yourself and maybe plug our potential channel coming here in the month, that would be great. Let us know a little bit about yourself real quick, and then I'm gonna move to David.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so again, Josh Alvarez-Mapp, Josue Alvarez, either or. But yeah, I mean, basically, I'll be popping up here every so often. Beyond sports, predominantly my content creation is on the gaming side of things. So you can catch me on Twitch, twitch.tv/BossQuest. And then I do a couple things here on YouTube, not a whole lot. Like I do more pre-recorded cuts from Twitch, things like that. So again, it's on the gaming side of things, but I love sports. It's just that the sports scene on Twitch is like non-existent. Like if you're not playing Madden or whatever, like you're not really breaking out on Twitch. So, it's been nice coming back because back in college on my radio show, I used to do a sports talk show. So it's been nice to be back and talk sports again. So yeah, looking forward to be back.
Yeah,
and go Kings.
Definitely appreciate. Yeah, and this is this is how me and my buddy know each other. We're from DMLA. And if you don't know about DMLA, well, then you should Google it. If you have anybody that's younger, any young men that need a good place to hang out and have some fun, it's a great social event. It's a fraternity, and if you don't know it, you can privately message me. We can go more over details. But DMLA is a fraternity for young men. It's a lot like Boy Scouts. It's a lot better, I think, in my opinion, because we do a little bit more than just collect merit badges. So me and Josh, Jesus Alvarez, we are going to start trying to do shows more and more together.
Is there a special handshake for that?
There is. There is.
We can't talk about that.
And
you can't. You obviously just did. You just can't tell everybody what the handshake is.
Right.
Exactly. There's a way you tie your tie. There's a way you tie your shoes, and there's definitely a way you walk. And when you become a DMLA, you stand up with a little bit more confidence because you have a family behind you that's a brotherhood. So this is how I met my good buddy, and we're going to start doing things a little bit more at least once a month. If I can get him to come on a little bit more, maybe a Friday night show, or when he's just bored, we might try to do something. But I'm going to pivot down to David, and I really appreciate David because I've met David almost a year and a half ago, and he was one of the first people that was really pushing me to do YouTube. I am going to start doing channels with David. We're going to try to do a channel or a show once a week, and we're going to be pushing for sometime on Mondays before shows come on, and it's not going to be a super long show, but we would like to come on where me and him can talk Niners, have just a couple of comments, and we're going to open it up to possibly a guest. So it's going to be a 3-person show for about an hour, and we're going to rotate people that's going to come on. Me and David, our idea is to maybe talk for a half an hour or 20 minutes and then bring somebody in for the remaining minutes of the show. And we just want to rotate. We're going to try to get people like Ryan or Tarrerdome to come in. Maybe Alvarez will come in. Korey, you're going to be in, and we're just going to try to rotate throughout the week because me and David both want to be able to talk to each other and go over Niner content without, having everybody where no one can say something.
When you call him Alvarez, I just think you're like describing the guy you do armored car robberies with. Hey, I gotta go call Alvarez. Alvarez gonna take care of this. You know what I'm saying?
That is a good
Alvarez
name.
gonna put him out.
Right?
So
Yeah.
Alvarez got this handled, bro.
He can tell you. I call him
My
just
boy
about.
Alvarez, he got this, son.
He'll tell you. I call him just about anything except ugly because his mama wouldn't let me say that. So
It almost sounds like he's the wolf. Oh shit! You sounded the wolf.
One of my favorite characters ever in movie history, Winston Wolfe. I saw problems. I love that guy. Harvey Keitel.
That
David,
whole
you-
scene
Sean
was
Connery.
just. I saw that movie in the theaters when I was 11, and so that whole scene, just like Quentin Tarantino saying words you're not supposed to say. Harvey Keitel, just handling business like a boss. You know what I mean? Jules, who was just, executing people, is freaking out. And then all of a sudden, he hears this one dude's name mentioned, and he's just cool. Everything's gravy. I was just like, holy shit. Like, that whole scene was just crazy.
You ain't got no problems, Jules. I'm on the mother. Let's go back there, chill them brothers out, and wait for the wolf who will be arriving directly.
Oh, shit. You said in the wolf. Oh, you feel better now?
That's all you had to say.
before we end all our fun, David, did you have anything that you wanted to elaborate to the channel or any kind of thoughts, or do you want to say anything before we leave? I know you said you're going to go hiking here really soon, so I want to get you out of here to do that. But yeah, if you're okay,
I'm good.
all right.
I'm good, buddy.
We'll talk on the sides about that, and then if anybody wants to do anything later, just reach out to me. And again, thank you very much, guys. I hope you guys got a good cup of coffee. Get a better picture of that right there, and then look out for the giveaways coming. I'm at almost 80 subscribers. I'm gonna give you guys a hint. 1 second. Now I have I have
Reveal.
two jerseys I'm going to be giving away. They were donations to the channel, and I'm not going to give too much away, so I'm just going to show you just the corner. I know it's just a tidbit. It's just a glimpse. It's kind of like, but this is one of the jerseys that's autographed that will be given away. So they are here.
Oh,
We're going to be. We're gonna. Oh man.
No, it's Brock Purdy.
This is a little bit. This one I think is gonna be a heavy hitter.
See,
I think a lot of people are gonna like it.
I'm trying to figure out who they are. So I'll throw out a name every once in a while, see if he goes like, oh, you know what I mean? Like someone guessed it or thought, you know what I'm saying?
Bite on the bait. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So for sure, there's one player you will not guess at all. There's another player you are probably gonna guess if you keep on throwing out names. But we're going to do that. The first giveaway is going to be like a cup because it's a coffee show, you know, so you need a coffee cup. And then after that, we're going to go from there. But if you
Do
guys
you have a
can share
signed like David Akers jersey or something? Like,
no, it's Brock Purdy. I'm telling you.
I am not going to say that.
It's a David Akers jersey. It's a David Akers jersey.
He got it on the money.
Damn. And with that, guys,
actually, it's an early sample. It's a Moody jersey.
We don't even know what Moody's wearing yet because one of our guys took 2 and 13 already taken. So
Bryant has that early scoop. That's what
it's a D Winters jersey, by the way.
So with that, guys, thank you again. Like, share, subscribe. Find my guys on the panel. We're gonna put their names in the link too, so you can find them. And we're looking forward to seeing you guys back next weekend. Have a great night, great afternoon, great morning. I think I'm going to go find my backyard. All right, guys, we're out.
All right.
Peace.
Go Niners. F-O-Lambs.
Niners. Bounce